So, students are back, and yesterday I went out to one of the schools in Kanda, the St. Paul's Lutheran School.
Nice.
And I was just curious as to how are these students handling all of this, And so I had a conversation with them yesterday.
Should we take a look?
Yes, we should.
Okay.
Yes, we should. Let's take a look at it. St. Paul's Lutheran School. And I'm here, as you can see, with some young people, and we're going to have a conversation about, this is the second day of school, and what have they been the experiences, what are their expectations, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go around and let everybody introduce themselves. So just mention your name. Welcome. What year are you in?
I'm Nazifat Ahmed Bature. I'm 11 years.
What year? What class are you?
Oh, 5. Going to class 6. Yeah.
What about you?
I am Daphne Ape. I am going to class 1.
Okay, nice. How about you?
I'm Samuel Amayao. I'm going to Form 3.
Form 3, okay.
I'm Judith Adade, and I'm also going to Form 3.
How has school been since you came back?
It has been okay, and we have also been observing the safety protocols of COVID-19. So I don't think there will be any dangers in it.
Now, you've been wearing a mask in class. This is something that we never used to do, right? So what's the difference for you? What is that experience like?
Sometimes in class, you feel exhausted. Then you bring the marks down. But some teachers come and say, you have to wear it for your own good. Yeah.
Okay. Let me come over here. Now, what has your experience been like? You're a bit older. You've seen it, quite a bit more, and I'm sure you understand a bit more as well. Why do you think the protocols are important for the school setting?
Okay. In school, there are very huge crowds because we are a lot in the school. And if you don't adhere to the protocols, you might contract the disease. And if plenty people get the disease in a school, the school's authorities will become responsible. So we, the students, must wear our mask, sanitize, and make sure we don't contract the disease in order to prevent any misunderstandings and dangers.
Okay. So what about yourself? The protocols, when we walked in, we noticed that there's a lot of protocols in place. There are Veronica buckets. I noticed there's there are temperature guns, and in fact, there are different heights for the different categories of children and all that. As far as you are concerned, do you feel safe in school?
Yes, I feel very safe. Mainly because our school is one that really follows the rules which have been set by the authorities. We are told to wear our nose masks, we are told to wash our hands, we are told to sanitize, and we are told to just social distance, like we shouldn't be so close to our friends. So I feel like the teachers are doing their part, and that makes me feel very comfortable in the school.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you again. The protocols that are in place and everything else, what is your personal experience like wearing the mask and sitting in class? If you have to ask questions, your teachers are talking to you. What are some of the challenges in terms of hearing? Are you able to hear clearly? Does it make a difference at all?
It makes a huge difference. Previously, we didn't have to talk as loudly as we do now. And because of the masks, we've learned how to be very vocal with ourselves. Without the masks, we normally talk in a low-toned voice. And now I feel like we are just speaking so that, we have to project it so that it just comes out louder. As far as with the hearing of the teachers, they also try very hard for us to hear them, and so that we don't have to constantly repeat ourselves, and so that they also don't have to repeat themselves.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you one more question here. How do your parents feel? How do they react? As you're leaving home to come to school, what are some of the advices that they give to you as you're coming to school?
They'll be like, wash your hands frequently. don't share your tissues or your sanitizers, because they also have to bring theirs, and don't let them touch your things.
Do you feel that your parents are comfortable or they are nervous when you're coming to school?
Yeah, they are, let's say 50-50. They know that, as my colleague said, this school, we follow the protocols. So they know we are safe, but also they know some people might break the protocols, and maybe we might forget ourselves and we might also bring it down, and they will talk to us and we will contract it. So yeah, it's half-half.
And then finally, Daphne, when your friends don't wear the mask, what do you tell them?
I tell them that wear the mask, everything.
All right, so you heard it. Wear your mask.
So that's St. Paul's, and it's a private school, obviously, so you can see that even the place you guys were sitting, there were computers behind you.
Yeah.
So this is a school that is obviously investing a lot in ensuring that their students are safe. And I think for me, institutions like GES should look at schools like this as a standard.
Yeah.
You know, earlier this week, the Parents Teachers Association were actually complaining that some schools have still not received PPE, which is really sad because not every school can afford to ensure. I mean, there was a shot of their bathrooms, and I was blown away because when it comes to schools, I'm usually terrified of the bathrooms. You know, so it will be interesting. I hope one of these days you'll go to a public school so that we can contrast the two.
No, I think I'll definitely pay a visit to a public school soon, you know, and then bring back what the experience is like as well, and do that contrast there. Whilst I was there, I did speak to teachers as well, so they also give us a perspective, and I realized that a lot of planning had gone into this. You know, one of the teachers was sharing how weeks before even the announcement came officially, you know, they had an idea that they were going to go back to school. So they already started staff meetings and planning and making sure. So it's like, okay, do we have enough Veronica? But how many will we need? You know, so how many stations should we have? So there's a whole lot of thinking and planning that has really gone into this. You know, it didn't just wait last minute and say, okay, look, we are now going back to school. Let's quickly hurry up and get one or two and put it. No. They as staff of the school, you know, had meetings, they planned, and I mean, they've done a good job, honestly.
And when you look at the kids, you know, when you look at the way the kids are so relaxed, they are at peace because they have everything sorted out. You have your Veronica buckets, they're clean, there's water running out of it, there's soap, there's tissue. Sometimes it's just creating a healthy, enabling environment. You don't need a therapist, you don't need anything. But if a child is going to school and they are stressing out about will there be soap in the school? Will there be water in the Veronica bucket? Will I get tissue to wipe my hands when I'm done? All of that can contribute to the child not even being able to concentrate in the classroom. And for me, I must say, in as much as yesterday we talked to the Deputy Director General of GES, I am very, very disappointed. We knew that the students will go back to school in January. As far back as mid-December, the Information Minister told us that we will hear from the President, you know, about children going back to school. We need to get to a point where we plan everything to the nearest decimal. Because there's no reason why certain schools still don't have PPE. The classroom sizes are so big that there's no way the students can even practice social distancing. Because then when children like that are watching kids like this, they can feel the difference. And it shouldn't be that way.
Definitely feel the difference. You know, Jifa, one of the things I noticed, because we're there through lunchtime, you know, and one of the things I noticed was that initially, when you enter the school, you see the Veronica bucket stations, and then they're right at the front of the school, right? But what was interesting for me was that every floor, every block on every floor had a Veronica bucket. In fact, it had 2 stations on every floor. Okay, so if there are 3 floors, that's 6 per block, and each block has their own, you know, Veronica bucket stations there. So there was a situation where there were some kids all rushing to wash their hands at one particular Veronica bucket station, right? Then the assistant headmaster says, no, stop, break it up. Go spread yourselves out. Don't all wash at one place, right? And these are kids who are maybe younger than 10.
Wow.
Right? So they all, you know how they are, right? So they're all excited. They all come in there, open the bucket, wash it. They said, no. Then when he said to them, go to the other one on the back, they said, the water is not flowing. Then he says, then go upstairs. That's when I realized, let me check around and see the buckets around. And every floor has its own 2 buckets per floor on each block. You know, it's impressive. You know, and I think that attention to detail is important, you know. And it's not every school that can afford it on their own. So GES is to think through these things and make sure that all the nice structures that they, you know, that Dr. Tando mentioned
with
yesterday,
their guidelines,
you know, and all of that. They'll go down the structures, the system, and make sure that people are implementing what the guidelines are saying, you know, and so that our students, you don't have to come from, you know, any fancy place to have a good experience.
It's just Veronica buckets and water. You know? And for me, it's not enough for schools to complain. If a school complains and they belong to a particular district, and GES is well aware that they've provided all the resources to that district, someone should be held accountable. Someone should be made an example of, because we are human beings. There are people who will hoard these items that are meant for the kids, as sad as that is. And if no one punishes them, their other colleagues will also say, well, if this person stole XYZ, they were not held accountable. Let me also go and do that. And at the end, the children are the ones who are going to struggle. You know, and all these private organizations making millions of CDs from us every single year. There's no better corporate social responsibility than helping out a school. So if you know of a school that is struggling and does not have access, this is the opportunity for you to say, okay, this year we're going to dedicate 1% of our budget to ensuring that this school is well, you know, resourced. And that's going to be our little pet project for the whole 2021. I think it has to be a collective effort. We need to get to a point where we empathize with people. You can't just take your child to a very nice school and close your eyes to all the other children who are struggling. And children need an enabling environment. If they don't have the basic things, they won't, even me as an adult, I won't be comfortable coming to work every day in an environment that's going to, if there's no water, then they can't even wash their hands. Everything we're saying is just mere rhetoric. If we don't ensure that every single school has access to soap, running water, tissue, and they can actually practice smaller class sizes.
Absolutely. No, I think it's an important time to make a call on the corporate institutions to maybe even adopt a school. You know, I think it's important. I mean, I'm not, you know, when you think about the numbers, right? You think about the figures, the cost involved. Look, when I went to the school, what I saw there, I'm not talking about thousands of CDs, no, you know. So I think that a lot of corporate institutions should look to adopting schools. Don't adopt a school that your child goes to. No, look for another school. Adopt a different school somewhere, school that is less privileged, you know, and let that be part of what we do, so that others can also, you know, come up in the world, with us. I think it's important. We have to do that, because then that way we are teaching the kids the way it should be done, and they would never, ever, ever forget it. Well, this is still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you guys so much for spending your Wednesday morning with us. We have a